Hello and welcome back to another video for Final Fantasy XIV with me, Meoni. This time we're continuing our look at changes and additions to 5.2, and this time we're going to be talking about waymarks. In the last live letter they gave us a brief description of what's going to happen, but I thought it would be better to illustrate this in the game. So we're here in FFXIV 4 Savage on my own today, and yeah, there's the best boy or best girl as it will be over there. And essentially I thought it would be a good idea just to give you a demonstration of those new features. So first of all, if you've never used waymarks before, and yes, those people do exist, if you go into your actions and traits menu, underneath the party section, there is actually waymarks. This is a button that you can drag onto your bars. I always have it down here. Sometimes it's quite helpful, and we have countdowns and stuff as well assigned to buttons on various people if I'm raid leading. And on the waymark section, you'll see that it's a little bit like it was before, only we have two new additions, which is the number 3 and the number 4, which my friend keeps telling me looks like a G more than a 4. I mean, if you have a look at this, I can see what he means, but yeah, so we have 3 and 4, so that brings us to a total of 8 waymarkers to place, which is way more than we had before. Well, 2 more exactly. So obviously we could set up our waymarkers. These obviously don't make that much sense if you think about it. I'm just putting them willy-nilly, but we also have the addition of, you know, putting another 2 marks. Say for instance there was another mechanic, we could put those for 2 stack points, for example. So that's a lot of markers if you think about it, which, you know, will help no doubt for planning in terms of your Savage progression or anywhere else you do it. Now with 5.2 you'll see there's this new drop down button as well. If you click this, you'll actually expand the menu downwards, and in here you'll see that there is a little tooltip. It says waymarks can only be placed outside of combat. This is a new 5.2 change. Actually what you have to do is place your markers down before you pull a boss. And basically this is to combat an ACT timer, which was actually putting down markers for people and was used in World First Progress, which is obviously quite annoying for the developers. They don't want people to do that. So let's pull this and die horribly. But you'll see here, yes, unable to execute command during combat. So let's just jump off straight here and wipe that up, just to prove that that is indeed a thing and you cannot assign these. Now previously, apart from the people that obviously spoiled this and made it so it's no longer possible, I did actually used to place markers in combat to help people. If they go, which marker do I go to, where do I go, and I'd go there, and it was as simple as that. But we can't do that anymore, so let's simply place these down in any old order once again to give you a demonstration. These are really awkward markers. They're about to trigger somebody horribly with OCD in the comments, and myself included. But anyway, so you'll see that the markers are down. Say for instance that was the perfect strat for FFXIV 4 Savage, which I don't know what that would even mean. But we have slots. We have 5 slots in total that we can save things to. So to save current markers, we can save to that slot, and it was a click of the button there, and you'll see that we now have a list at the bottom of the screen there of all of the markers that were used, and also we'll see it saved there, and we can obviously update this if we change something. Say for instance we take the B away, we can update this and essentially overwrite or delete this, and oh look, we no longer have the B lit up, so we don't actually use the B mark or whatever. So you can update these as you go, delete them, etc. But for example, let's say you were in a group and you came in here and everybody was like, well, what do we do on FFXIV 4 Savage? We're a pug group. You'd go, that would be your first action. The second would be to click this, and hey presto, you have all the markers, and then you would proceed to attempt to explain in a chat function what everything is. And you'd probably give a Discord link as well, because pugging this was a nightmare. I've never completed this on Savage. I hear that pugging this on Savage was kind of impossible without voice communication, as most things end up being in the game. But you'll note that there are 5 slots, and this is essentially 5 slots in the entire game. This is 5 slots unique. So essentially I could have 2 of these, right? We could have another FFXIV 4 Savage setup. So depending on what, you know, tactic we're going to use, whether or not we're using another stack marker or whatever you want to call it, then we could easily update and change these depending. Let's say we're going into other content and we have strats for that stuff as well, then essentially we would need to save that in a separate slot. So it's kind of like per fight you would have a slot. There really isn't that many slots if you think about it, but how many times do you really need to assign these sorts of things? Usually in a progression team, if you're going through a savage raid, such as the brand new one with Eden, you know, there's only 4 wings of that, 4 bosses in total, so having 5 does alleviate that. And essentially if there's an extreme as well, like there is with Ruby, that gives us that slot as well, which is really quite handy. I would like more, but there isn't really any need for more until we have more future content. But yeah, there we go. I thought that was interesting to point out. A lot of people didn't know how this worked, but essentially it's as simple as that. Thank you kindly for watching. If you enjoyed this video or find it helpful, leave a like below, and I'll see you all next time.